Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the third game in the series between Herr Acker and der Vasall in the second round of the Farmers League. And if you have seen the first two games in this series, we can say that we are a little bit disappointed in der Vasall, but maybe in this game he can turn it around. If you remember the series against Food Please, der Vasall was really able to put a great fight on this map in particular, and I hope he can do the same here again against Herr Acker, who is playing in the red as usual and is dropping his town center in a pretty decent location next to Woodline. He has a boar right here, and he's playing as the Tatars, which is actually a good idea because the Tatars gather 50% more food from herdables, and there's a lot of herdables on this map, particularly along this outer edge, like these geese over here, more geese over here, but there's also plenty in the center to be found. Der Vasall, of course, always playing in the gray, and I actually love that Vasall really sticks to this color, so that basically each player has a very distinct color they always choose. So if you see gray, you know it is der Vasall. He is playing as the Goths, and the Goths, not a particularly good or bad pick, I think, on this map. They get Loom instantly, which can be helpful in the early game to maybe lure a boar that is really far away. And also they gather a little bit extra food from things like boars, so that can also be very helpful in terms of food income. Of course, in this matchup, overall, I would say the Tatars are the better civilization. They just have more options. They can go for very strong crossbow play with the instant thumb ring. They can go for cav archers. They can go for keshiks. And many other things as well. And in the very late game, they have the flaming camels, and I think that's why Herr Acker picked the civilizations, because he really, really loves the flaming camels, and he has used them to great effect against me in one game where I had ballista elephants, and the only thing that could stop me was the flaming camels. So that was a pretty epic game that was played last year. But let's see what the players are doing. Both of the players, I think, just focusing on food income, contrary to normal Nomad. On Land Nomad, you actually don't focus so much on wood because there is no water and no dock to be built. Yeah, so one thing I have to note here is that for this patch I had to downgrade my version, and the thing that's really uncomfortable about this is that you have to download this patching application, and then you have to put in your Steam credentials, and that's not something I'm really comfortable doing, but of course for the cost I am more than willing to take the risk, and I think it's fine. It's an open source little tool. I think it's fine overall. Okay, so let's see what the players are doing. Der Vasall coming forward with a villager, and I hope he realizes soon enough that Acker is here and doesn't lose the villager. However, it doesn't look great for him. 2 shots by the town center and the third one, and the villager is down. And even though town centers don't hit too much these days, if you're walking in a straight line towards the town center or away from the town center, then you will still get shot. So Vasall could have saved this villager. However, reaction time would have needed to be pretty perfect, to be honest. And that means that Herr Acker is actually 2 villages ahead of der Vasall, which of course gives him a nice early game advantage. However, nothing that is too damning for der Vasall, who also has a lumber camp already. So he's really keeping up with the tradition of really focusing heavily on wood. So in the previous games we saw him go for 2 lumber camps really, really early, and here he's going for 1 lumber camp really, really early. I think it's too early. It's like 6 on wood. I think 3 is more than enough, and the rest can just focus on food. I mean, there is so much food around. It's just much better to get the food in. And if we look at the food count in particular, we only have 6 on food, and so Vasall is actually kind of struggling to keep the production running. He has to force drop off some food. Of course, he's still fine, but you can just make it a little bit easier. And look at all the wood. It's almost 300 wood in the bank. That doesn't do you too much good at this point in time. However, as Vasall he usually does. He likes to do a sneaky forward village, and that's maybe why he collected so much wood. But again, he doesn't have the food to really produce from this forward barracks. And then he's plonking down a house, which I like. That gives you extra vision. And then a mining camp here. The mining camp, I think, is questionable because it's only for a single villager and will just take a long time to even pay off. It's 100 wood invested here. It's fine, as we said. Der Vasall has more than enough wood, anyways, because of this extra lumber camp that he built. So I think he can afford to spend the 100 wood here. But it's not the ideal move, if we're being honest. On the other side, Herr Acker bringing in another boar underneath his town center over here. He also has quite the wood saturation. He has 7 on wood. So also he has the same issue of having over 550 wood in the bank. So I'm sorry, Vasall. You're doing fine. It's actually Herr Acker who's focusing too heavily on wood. I think that's just like nomad brain tells you, go on wood, but actually almost everything on a land nomad can go to food. Just make or scouting. Like instead of taking more wood, you can just take a villager and scout around. So I think that's something. Because what are you going to spend the wood on? There's not much you can do. I mean, you need a second building, or like 2 buildings actually, for the next age. And that's maybe something that he might stumble upon as well. That, of course, since you don't have a dock in Land Nomad, you actually need 2 buildings. So you need a mill, just plonk down a mill here, and a lumber camp to go up to the next age. Or in the case of Vasall, you actually have the barracks and the mill and the lumber camp. So Vasall actually much better here in terms of spending the wood. So I really like that. He's like, okay, I got the wood, I can spend it, I can make a mill here, I can drop the barracks. Although I don't like the barracks here because he did not produce anything from it. It's just a kind of dead building that's not doing anything. But this could actually, in later stages, could actually lead to some very interesting aggression. But imagine if Vasall had like 2 or 3 militia and would venture out here. He could, or even a single militia would be enough. Honestly, if he could just use it to lame the ibex and deny them from Herr Acker. Now we get some village shenanigans going back and forth. Vasall trying to kill this villager, but Herr Acker sends a new villager here. Vasall now tries to build a house, but I don't think that will work with the villager attacking him. And so I think Vasall needs to retreat. And so there's just a little typical vil fighting that you see on Nomad all the time. Some nice micro here by Vasall. And oh, he didn't move. He shouldn't have moved again. I think it was absolutely fine, and now he actually might lose this battle since both are on even ground, but Der Vasall can just retreat and bring in a new villager. Der Vasall getting housed, but he's actually ahead in villagers. Look at this. But I think it might be due to Herr Acker being on the way to the feudal age, and indeed that is what he's doing. He has 24 villagers, and if we look at his food count, actually he might not be too far away from going for a type of fast castle. He's seeding 3 farms. I think I would have loved to see him make use of more of the food around the map, but I think that's overall it's fine because he has a mill over here and a mill over here and taking some more ibex. Meanwhile, Der Vasall now I think struggling for food a little bit, but he can just make a mill here, and that's exactly what he's doing, and he can eat more of these delicious ibex. Have Acker, of course, coming forward with outposts. He also knows where Der Vasall is, and of course Der Vasall knows where Herr Acker is because he lost a villager early on. Herr Acker now in the next age. He has 400. I think he has enough for kind of a fast castle. He might need to squeeze in additional villager, or maybe even go for town watch. I think town watch could give him a lot, especially with this outpost that's actually very nicely positioned here. I don't like this from Der Vasall. I think that's just a lot of villager idle time. That's 7 villagers that are not collecting. So he will destroy the 25 wood and 5 stone or whatever it is from the outpost, but he will lose, I think, almost 100 villages here in idle time, 100 resources. So I think it's not really worth it. Of course, you deny the vision from Herr Acker, so it has some benefits, but I think overall it's not great. Now this villager, how much has he collected? Well, okay, he actually has collected around 150 resources. So Devasal paid 100 wood in the early game to get 150 gold. So that is actually not too bad, but again, not the best kind of trade there. Now, Herr Acker going for a barracks of his own, and also he is up to the castle age. That's what we suspected, to go for kind of a fast castle style. Devasal now in the feudal age, he's going for more a eco style. He's going for horse collar and double bit axe, and also a stable. But if we look at the food count of Devasal, it's actually pretty bad, and he's even going for scouts. And I said it once, and I will say it again. Scouts on Nomad are a trap, and I also fell into this trap when I played against Acker, where I had the Huns, and I was just basically mad with power of the Huns with the horse and the endless food you get. So I also went for scouts, which was a terrible idea against most players, actually, because you just fall so far behind in castle age timing. You see Acker almost at castle, almost reaching castle age, and Devasal now creating scouts, bloodlines, wheelbarrow. I mean, he has a nice farming setup, 9 farms, but yeah, castle age is just so strong that I think you cannot afford to do that. Now, Acker, I think he wants to try something new. I mean, I think the best strategy clearly at this level of play is still to go for double stable knights. And then just produce endless knights and win from there. However, Acker seems to go for a different approach in the cavalry archer, and he probably hasn't played much with the cavalry archer. It's a very strong unit, especially with the Tatars, with the free thumb ring, which eliminates the inherent inaccuracy of the cav archers, because cav archers only have 50% accuracy, so half of their shots actually miss. But with thumb ring, they actually miss none of the times, unless it's against a moving target. Then of course you also need ballistics. And now we can see that the scouts, they're not terrible against these cav archers that have only the +1 attack upgrade, but still they're not that great. And now with the town center fire and also a spearman around, the scouts pose no threat. And that's what I meant with scouts on Nomad are a trap. Acker is already in the castle age, and he already has much stronger units, and the scouts just cost a lot of food, actually 240 food down the drain that could have been put towards castle age. But speaking of castle age, Devasal actually on the way to it himself, so nice recovery there. Nice of him to just doing the farming upgrades, doing the wheelbarrow, getting the farms. That was really worth it. And now he's going heavily on stone. I think he wants to drop a castle. And then maybe go for Huskarls, which could be strong, but we have seen that in the series between Splay Buzzer and Gummy Bear, that Huskarls not the strongest against fast moving units like the cavalry archers. And now the cavalry archers are coming in and they're attacking the front of their Vasall space, but their Vasall sees it and retreats with the villagers. However, these villagers are now idle, so they're essentially not working at all, costing a lot of resources for their Vasall. So in this case, what you should do is just put them on wood, like take them off of stone, put them on wood. I mean, in the worst case, you just have to sell it, but better than having those villages not work at all. Now they Vasall going for a stable. I think he might open with knights in this case, and that's great. I think, I'm not sure. He doesn't have any really great options. He doesn't have enough stone for a castle. He can't buy one. He's really starved for resources now, and there's cav archers coming in from all sides. So I think knights are actually the best option. I mean, the Goths, maybe not the strongest Goth unit, but they have decent knights. So I think that's a good idea. And oh, this is just so bad. Acker coming in with the cavalry archers. But luckily for Vasall, those villagers are not being found, and we see a lot of dead gray villagers here on the gold. And now we see the genius move by Vasall that he did earlier, which is go to this gold. And we can see that this villager alone basically has kept Vasall in the game in terms of gold income. But oh, this is so bad. Acker finding, or not finding, yes, he is finding those villagers as well. And this is just horrible, horrible. I think Der Vasall did a nice clear up here of the cav archers, but he just has to retreat. There is no gold income here for Der Vasall. More villagers getting picked off. The farming eco is in shambles, but the knights are coming in. The knights have decent upgrades, and I think he may be able to push away the cavalry archers, who now have bloodlines as well, but still missing the very, very important +2 attack. I think that's something Acker should realize, that the Bodkin arrow is just the most important upgrade for these cav archers. Gives them +1 attack and +1 extra range, which just makes them a lot more versatile, especially against the knights who do have decent pierce armor. But even so, the cav archers are good enough to deal with the knights, at least in low numbers, although they take a bad engagement here. A lot of free hits by the knights, and so a lot of the cav archers might be cleared up here. Yes, another one falls, more damage onto those cav archers, and very nicely done here by the Vasall, pushing away the aggression of Herr Acker. But look at the villager count: 41 villages for Herr Acker, 29 for der Vasall, and Herr Acker realizing that the best counter to low numbers of knights is actually monks, and I think that's something that on our level, more and more people do realize that monks is the way to go against knights. And I may be overacting here a little bit. Is Herr Acker going for double monastery? I think if you're ahead, and clearly you are ahead if you look at the score, then just go for your power unit and then mix in 1 or 2 monks to heal up your cav archers. That's a lot of value, and then convert a knight here or there. But don't overcommit onto monks, especially as the Tatars. Just play your game, don't play your opponent's game. But now we see that this barracks that Der Vasall dropped from the very beginning was not a great move, because nothing was created from this. There was a lot of potential for aggression, but nothing has been done here. Herr Acker now going for 3 TCs, so clearly booming ahead. And I don't know what Der Vasall's plan is. I mean, he's now going for a castle, and so he can go for huscarls, but again, he has already teched very much into cavalry, and also he's idling his town center a lot. So Vasall, if you're listening to this, and I hope you are, that's the one thing that you need to improve in your game to be way more competitive. Is just keep on creating extra villagers. And get a second town center. You have enough resources, just get a second town center, and then use the select all town center hotkey to create the villagers. And now we have a monk here, and the monk gets a conversion, and that's a very, very valuable trade here by Herr Acker. He's trading the 100 gold monk to essentially kill a knight and get a knight of his own. So that's a very, very nice trade. And now finally, I think it's the end of this villager, so we can see how much gold has he actually mined from here, and it's actually quite a lot. It's I think a pile has about 800 gold, so this is 460 gold that this villager has actually mined. So a trade of 100 wood for 460 gold sounds pretty good to me. So overall, Der Vasall actually doing a good move here. By mining a lot of gold and also taking it away from Herr Acker, who will not have access to this gold, or will have access to less gold. Now we have a little bit of an AI army here from Herr Acker, waltzing in, not reacting in time. The castle does a lot of damage here. 3 cav archers down, the monk down. That was very costly. So that is really not that great, having this AI army. I think you need just to be more active with the cav archers. Just send them around here, send them around down to the bottom, as Herr Acker has done before. So he showed that he knows how to do it, but he's kind of forgotten. Maybe he's too busy with macroing. And especially since you know that there's these mining camps here that are actually pretty horribly placed. You want to have a 1 tile gap between the mining camp. So imagine if you had the mining camp right here, then all of these villagers could just drop off straight. And in this position, this villager has to walk all the way around to drop it off. Now we have a big battle here. I don't want to miss this. We have the huscarls coming in. The huscarls actually have bonus damage against the cavalry archers, so they might actually be pretty good. But we have monks in the back converting units and also healing a lot, contributing to a lot of value. But very nice, almost clear up here for Der Vasall, killing almost all the units for Herr Acker, but der Vasall also doesn't have any units, and he's stuck at 32 villages forever. He's not producing, and that is just not the way to go. You always need to be producing villagers. Even if you're in a 1TC all-in situation, you typically want to produce villagers, unless you're doing an all-in type of strategy, like you putting type of strategy. But even then, even you putting sometimes sprinkles in a villager here or there, whereas der Vasall says 32 villagers, that is more than enough. But I'll tell you a little secret, it is not enough. And also the Huskarl is just not a great unit. It is a great unit for raiding and against archers, but it's just not great against basically any other type of unit. It's not great against knights, not great against monks, and you will see that here it's 4 Huskarls against 3 knights, and I think that's just will go into the way of the knights, especially with the castle chiming in. And you can see that there's not that much damage dealt to the knights. One of them was killed, and I hope that der Vasall realizes this in this game and maybe switches to a different unit, maybe monks of his own. Now he's going for a siege workshop, but overall, if you look at the score, if you look at the numbers here, although there is another knight here by der Vasall, and we've seen that in the last game, that a single knight of der Vasall can turn the entire game around, but this time Herr Acker realizes it, luckily for him. So only a few villagers being killed here, and I think it's now just a waiting game. Herr Acker meanwhile switching to Keshiks, very strong unit, especially the elite Keshik. I think is super powerful. Not only is it cheap, has a lot of pierce armor, but it also generates gold when attacking, so it's actually a very sustainable unit. The first green unit in Age of Empires, kind of regenerating the resources put into it. And now Herr Acker finally thinking about raiding, finding the Huskarls, and can actually attack the Huskarls. I think I don't like this. Like the Rams, guys, this is a castle with Huskarls in front of it. What are the Rams gonna do? Like seriously, what are they gonna do? Nothing. They're just gonna die. This is absolutely pointless. So guys, don't produce that much Rams. It would be much better to just go up to Imp and then use trebuchets, especially since you're the Tatars. You have Timurid Siegecraft, which gives the traps +2 extra range, making them super powerful. So you basically can put your trap here and shoot the castle over here almost. So this is just wasted resources that could have been put towards Castle Age. And with a little bit of market magic, Acker could almost be on the way if he didn't spend the resources here. But yeah, sometimes it's justifiable to make 1 ram or like a crazy ram push, like a all-in white phosphor kind of strategy, but in this situation 2 rams is not going to be enough. And on the other side we also have rams here by der Vasall, so great minds think alike, as they say. But der Vasall actually making use, or not quite, it's on the old patch. On the new patch this is actually much stronger, because all the Huskarls will distribute themselves among the rams, but on this patch not so much. And now finally Acker realizes that he can just raid. He can just come over here and reduce the villager number back to the 32, or even less than it should be for der Vasall. Now Herr Acker also like not doing much, now queuing 3 villagers, like just go up to Imp instead. I mean, you can finish it in Castle Age as well, also with cavalry, but now you've boomed so much, why not just go up to Imp instead? Now going for handcart, and we have the crazy counterattack by the battering rams of der Vasall. Now let's see if the battering rams of der Vasall can do anything against the Castle Age castle, but they're doing a very bad thing. They're pathing through the rams of Herr Acker that just kills them, and that's what I mean. Like the rams, they just die. They're not doing any damage to the castle. And meanwhile, der Vasall is raided to death by Herr Acker, and I think this is just going to be GG. We're down to 22 population. The Huskarls and rams are just dead. And what did they do? Like 1000 HP of damage, and that's just not good enough. So if you really want to kill a Castle Age castle with rams, you need probably like 6 to 8 rams, but 3 is just not enough. It's a waste of resources. And there it is, the GG has been called by Der Vasall. We have seen it coming, and this goes decisively in Herr Acker's favor. I think Herr Acker had some good ideas, or Der Vasall had some good ideas, but then he just fell behind in economy, fell behind in tech, because he went for scouts instead of a fast castle of his own. Imagine if he was in Castle Age at the same time as Herr Acker. I think this would have been a very, very different game, but unfortunately he was not. And so Herr Acker just had an easy time going for Cav Archers. I think it was also a little bit inconsequential, the Cav Archer play by Herr Acker, because he didn't get all the upgrades as well, didn't go for Botkin Arrow, but overall I think a solid macro game, going for 3 TCs, and yeah, going up to almost 70 villagers, now finally going for Imp. So I think nicely played by Herr Acker, but I think there's more potential from both players, to be honest. And more sneaky gold, to be honest, here by Der Vasall. Okay, so this was game number 3 in the series between Herr Acker and Der Vasall, and let's see what Der Vasall can do to turn it around in the final and 4th game.